All right. Okay. Um, so I'm on my phone, walking around and about next to a somewhat busy road. I mean, it's just past rush hour, so it's not too busy. But if any of y'all tuning in now could do me a favor and let me know if you can hear me. Sorry about the cars passing by. If any of y'all can hear me, well, just leave a comment and tell me. Sorry about any external noise. Like I said, I'm by the road, but I hope you all get dialed in because I've got a lot I want to talk about. Seriously, someone tell me they can. Okay, good. You guys can hear me. Dope. All right, guys. It's been a little while. Been a little while since I've made a video or live streamed. Been about 7 months. Yeah. Not gonna lie. I've been sucked into the my creative side a lot. I've been really dialed in the last month or two, finishing the last panels of the next chapter of my graphic novel. But I'm very nearly done with it. After I'm done with that, I'm going to take a little break from that and I'm going to make at least a couple of videos for you guys. I owe you anyways, since I know some of you are Patreon subscribers. Do not worry, my pretties, I shall feed ye soon. Some quality, some quality feed, some quality banquet for consumption rather than the mass-generated slop that's being pumped all over the internet nowadays. Let me go ahead and take a right on this road. Y'all aren't getting too much interference from y'all aren't getting too much interference from the young oncoming traffic, are you? Well, let me know if you're getting if you guys can hear the cars driving by and if it's overpowering me. Sorry, I got a little cotton mouth. Will you sing a Doors song for us since you look like you're a young Val Kim? I've gotten Jim Morrison. Anyways, enough with that. Time to, now that we got a little audience gathered, let's go ahead and talk about what I wanted to talk about. So, about a week and a half ago, I was invited by a PSL candidate to join an event rallying, socialists and former socialists, just people who they had phone numbers of, to a campaign organizing events where they would gather, all the members and potential members, candidates, pretty much everyone in Cincinnati that's currently involved with the PSL and some former members like me. And what it was it was a event to bring people together to basically start canvassing and campaigning for Greg Levy for Ohio Senate. He's the PSL candidate for Ohio Senate. So I rejoined, and when I was at the event, they went person to person, inviting them why they were here. And I just mentioned I used to be in the PSL 6 or 7 years ago, but I got kicked out over something silly. And there, everyone there was seemingly pretty nonchalant about it. And we're like, well, we're a different organization now. Point is I went there, I got connected with a lot of people, good vibes, getting along with everyone, seems to be a pretty swell night. And I'm like, this is great. The PSL seems to have gotten their act together. I'm surrounded by like-minded comrades. I'm actually ecstatic now. I'm enthusiastic. I'm like, just the enthusiasm that I had was renewed. I'm like, finally, yes, I can start doing shit again. I really appreciate that girl giving me that phone call inviting me. Like, I'm like, all right, finally, I can finally start doing stuff. Well, week later, I come out to this canvassing event. Now, at the previous events, the one that I was invited to, I that's basically what they told us, what we were going to do. That we were gonna get some training, some practice in. We broke up into small groups and basically practiced doing door-to-door canvassing, addressing common arguments for why people vote for Democrat or whatever, and just practicing our sales pitch of Greg Levy. I wasn't really familiar with his campaign. I started familiarizing myself a little bit for when we were about to go canvassing. And So yeah, they built it up like we were going to be approaching people, going door to door, handing out flyers, talking, and getting connected to the people with a given area. Well, they decided to do this in West Side, which West Side is pretty freaking poor. It's definitely comprising the deeper sections of the Cincinnati proletariat. So it makes sense why they would want us all to gather there. Well, I get invited to a Signal group chat. I meet a bunch of people, exchange phone numbers, and I'm like, great. Looks like I'm gonna have some quality friends and comrades. Things are really looking up for me. You know, I'm ecstatic. I'm enthusiastic. So I go to the canvassing event, and I'm under the impression that we're gonna go door to door canvassing. I meet the organizer, one of the organizers for like my group. I end up going with this guy, long hair, seems to be middle-aged. I would guess probably in his mid to late 30s. We'll call him Ron. Yeah, Ron. The moment I met Ron, I already didn't like this guy. I didn't really like the vibes he was giving off. Out of all the people in that group, there were about a dozen of us, and I invited a friend. I was the only one that was going out of my way to walk up and talk to people on the street. Everyone else stayed in the group together. They didn't want to spread out too much, which is fair. But I was the only one really making any meaningful effort to sell Greg Levy. And mind you, I haven't even read his fucking platform. So I'm coming up with a campaign summary on the fly, which is really just the PSL, what they campaign for in general, bringing back domestic industry, making millions of American jobs, like with green energy, like Green New Deal type shit, nationalized industry, economic planning, living wage, a rent freeze, like a freeze on the price of rent and like hard price ceilings on the price of rents, single payer healthcare, tuition-free college, the usual, just a general socialist platform. That's what I was pitching to people. And I was getting some people interested. And as I was doing it, I noticed one thing. The flyers they were passing out had language that was way too fucking advanced for any of the people that we're trying to connect with to relate to. Like, I'm reading this platform, and it's talking about the Revolutionary Assembly of the Proletariat, it's talking about, the Comprador International Bourgeoisie. It's talking about global class divide. It's using, not super advanced, but language that is definitely advanced enough to where a common layperson who doesn't know anything about it is going to be a little confused. Like, I'm telling you that the common layperson does not know what the fuck opportunism means within the context of revolutionary communist theory. I'm seeing this, and they don't even have like clearly defined, plans for their platform. Like, it's just generic stuff like end the war on Black America, abolish ICE, or like build socialism. Like, guys, you're being too vague. You need like actual point by point details. But that's not what I was getting. So I noticed this halfway, and I also noticed no one else in the group has really made an effort to talk to or reach out to any of these people around and about. They're just putting up posters and walking around in a group. And so I suggest, hey, so we're canvassing, right? We're supposed to be going door to door, knocking on doors, and making our sales pitch to the people around here. And the coordinator, Ron, as I'll call him, is like, well, no, we can't. It's really risky. It's too risky to do that now. We're not ready. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? This is a canvassing event. The whole point of canvassing is you're going door to door within various neighborhoods with the intent on plugging your desired candidate. So he makes like these excuses like, oh, a lot of these guys are inexperienced. They're not ready. People are extremely alienated. They're not used to connecting with one another. And I'm like, all you're doing is making arguments to fucking canvas. People are alienated and disconnected. Why not try connecting to them? People have their struggles. Why not try to relate to them in their individual given struggles? Try to build some ecstaticism, enthusiasm, make it feel like there's a group that actually represents them. I mean, they're only going to get that if they have a human being right in their face, you know, investing time and effort to reach out to them. Like, and I mean, yeah, people will turn you down, people won't be interested, but you're in a part of the city where theoretically people are at their most receptive to your message. So that, like, all the more reason to do it. So he says we're not doing it. You know, shortly thereafter, I try pitching, like, why don't we do it? Like, we need to do this. And he's just like, I'm not here to argue with this. The answer is no, because, you know, I remember he's the party coordinator. And I just make a joke. I'm like, all right, man, you're real Julius Caesar. You're the boss. And I'm just kind of joking. He took that personally. I didn't know it at the time, but when I jokingly said, okay, you're real Julius Caesar, what you say goes, I won't bring it up. I'm not kidding when I say he fucking took that personally. So at the end of the day, they're asking for suggestions. The party coordinators, they're asking for suggestions from a group of about 30-something people that took their time out of their day to come out and do this shit. Well, the whole group fell silent for a good 5-10 seconds. You know what I mean? There was a good 5 to 10 seconds of awkwardness, like awkward silence. Like, so I decide to chime in and take the initiative. And so what I do is I say two things. Number one, your platform flyer is completely unrelatable. Completely unclass conscious lay people, especially lay people that are, you know, the deepest sections of the proletariat, the poorest people in the city, are not going to be able to relate to this language or this messaging. They aren't even going to have the conceptualization of class struggle in their heads. It might be there instinctively, but you can't use, like, you know, even moderately advanced theory language could be a bit much. You need to appeal to them on a material basis. So I think what we need to do is have bullet points of, like, core things we want to do that will directly help poor working people, and open with that. Have that be the opener of our platform. You know, denounce two-party duopoly, say we're going to build an alternative system. And yeah, you can use the word socialism or whatever and mention, you know, Greg Levy of the PSL, but just don't flaunt that part too much in people's faces. Otherwise, they're just going to, you know, be like, bro, what the fuck is this? Because, again, they're like, you want them to be able to relate with minimal investment of effort on their part, but they got to be able to relate to it. I'm not saying you water down the message. I'm just saying you make the rhetoric and language used more relatable to the people in this area, and you build from there. You have to meet people where they are. That's the first suggestion I made. And the second suggestion I made was that, guys, this is a canvassing event. We advertised this as a canvassing event. We fucking practiced last week, broke up into groups, practicing going door to door, having discussions with people. Only now, for me to come out to this event, this lame-ass event, where all it is just like groups of 10 to 15 people going off in different directions, putting up signs and, you know, occasionally passing out flyers, but there's no real sense of urgency. There's no real sense of, like, willingness to, like, go out of your way and talk to people, really. I mean, there was a little bit of it going on, but out of all the motherfuckers in my group, I was the only one actively running, going out of my way, approaching people left and right on the street to talk about this shit. And the fucked up part is they didn't even wait. They just kept walking. They didn't try to talk to other people. They didn't try to make an effort. You know, there was no, like, because, you know, a lot of these guys are young activists. Like Ron said, they're young, they're inexperienced. They don't know how to cold approach strangers in public and pitch this shit. And I'm like, well, you got to start somewhere. You got to get some practice. So that was my second suggestion. Like, guys, these people you're approaching, they're working class just like you and me. Their material interests are aligned with our own. And they're going through economic struggles as well. Everyone's feeling it. Everyone is feeling these common intersections of struggle. And it's not hard, like, to remember that, like, you're talking to another human being. Like, they're living, breathing human beings with their own struggles in mind, and you are going out of your way to reach out to them and try to get them, you know, enthusiastic enough to do something. You know, Maybe they'll remember to go out and vote. Maybe they'll go out and vote. Maybe they'll volunteer to phone bank. Maybe they might get interested in the party itself and volunteer to get more involved so they can learn more. Like, you're going to get different tiers of people that way. But if you don't even go through the effort of reaching out to them in the first place, like, then you're going to get nothing. You're not going to have any enthusiasm because you didn't build it. That's basically what I've said is like, guys, you got to be willing to stick your neck out there at least a little bit. At least during a fucking canvassing event, you got to be willing to go out of your comfort zone and do some fucking canvassing. It shouldn't be like one person that's like, I was, out of all the people there, I was the only one that like was really serious about, I didn't really have a rehearsed script. I came up with it on the fly. I was dumbfounded, flabbergasted to find out that literally nobody else read from Greg Levy's platform. Nobody had notes prepared. Nobody had his platform memorized. No one had a sales pitch ready. Like, dude, like, really? Like, I'm coming up with this shit on the fly, and I get that I didn't have a sales pitch prepared, but, at least I'm trying. So what happens is I get in with party coordinators and ask them, I'm interested in joining, I'm interested in getting enrolled. And they asked me if I was available for a phone call here in a couple days. So I just got off the phone with them. And here's what happened. So we're on the phone. They pick up. Ron is there. Yeah, Ron is there. And this other guy whose name I forgot. He didn't really say anything. He was just sort of there at the interview. He was one of the two leading coordinators there. So Ron starts off by asking me why I'm interested in doing what I'm doing. And I told him, because I've just been so inactive, so uninvolved and disconnected for years now that, that I felt like it was an act of God almost. Not like a literal act of God, but almost like divine intervention, like destiny. Like, an opportunity was being presented to me when I got that phone call from the PSL offering for me to come out to their event and see what it was about. And so I jumped on it because I'm like, finally, you know what? And I see how many people are there, and I see like how cool the people are for the most part, how we're getting together, I'm able to relate to them. I'm made to feel, comfortable and welcome at home. And I'm like optimistic, like, holy shit, there's like 50 people here. There's like 10 times more people in the PSL now than there was like several years ago when I was a part of it. And that's basically what I told him. And also, I want to end capitalism, and I want to build communism, and I want to take the steps necessary to take society in that direction. And he's like, yeah, well, that's understandable, but we have different ideas about where we're going to take it. We have, and he's like, we like your enthusiasm, but we have some problematic tendencies coming from you. And he lists off my problematic tendencies. So he starts off by bringing up the fact that, I made someone uncomfortable by asking them for their phone number. So I was asking everyone for their phone number, mainly everybody I was talking to, everybody at that meeting that I liked. None of them seems, hesitant or uncomfortable with, exchanging numbers. Everyone seemed pretty cool with it. So I don't know specifically who he was talking about. But apparently, he's like, you asked them for their number, and then, you were asking them, text back, they got your number, and you're making it extra awkward. I'm like, whatever. This person, like, if you don't want to give me your number, just say no, dude. Be like, no, I don't know you that way. I'm not really comfortable. Just tell them, not that hard. I mean, I promise I don't bite. Well, this person apparently thinks I bite, so they just passively go along with it and don't even give me body language or any sort of signs that they're uncomfortable. Like, they don't even really hesitate, or maybe they did. I just didn't pick up on it because I was so excited. He brings up that, I'm like, well, my bad, I'm sorry. And he brings up how someone overheard me talking to a trans person. I said, that outfit makes you look like a girl. So what it was is there was a trans woman there who was obviously early into their transition, if you know what I mean, very early into their transition and journey. They were just starting their path to womanhood, and they were wearing a dress and makeup and stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. So I jokingly open with, that outfit makes you look like a girl. And they say, well, thank you. That's the point. And we introduce ourselves. We exchange names. They tell me my name, I tell them theirs, and they're like one of the people I'm talking to the majority of the evening. They give me no indication that they're offended, not even like the slightest indicator of it. On the contrary, I get indicators from this person that they like me and that they're cool with me and that we're friends. Because we're talking about a bunch of different stuff, we're relating on a bunch of things, and they're just extremely chill and sweet. I'm like, okay, I fucks with you. I fucks with you. They didn't take it personal. They fucking laughed when I said it. They're not the one that went to Ron with this information. Someone completely unrelated in that room, overheard it, and I guess they just didn't like it, so they went to complain to Ron about it. I'm like, why don't we let this person speak up for themselves rather than trying to speak for them? Rather than like, you hear something that, out of context, unplugged from your conversation. This conversation has fuck all to do with you, and you overhear someone, oh, you said something problematic. If it's really a problem, that big of a problem, like maybe the person who I said it to should speak up about it. Maybe they should say something to me, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm sorry. But they're not even the ones that went to him with this. It was someone else, completely unrelated, that I didn't even fucking talk to that evening, that went to him. And that's what I told him. Why don't we let them speak for themselves if they're really offended or take problem with it? Because I got no indicator of that. So they bring up that. They bring up the fact that I, incessantly, repeatedly brought up actually canvassing when we were having an event to fucking canvass. Every bit of intention that I was given from that previous meeting, I was being told we were going to actually canvass. We were going to go door to door, get some actual practice, going out and about, meeting people. And we even practiced. We literally practiced at the event. We would do like mock interviews where, we're going door to door. One person was the canvasser, the other person was the resident. And we would literally practice having these conversations. So I'm under that impression. And so when I hear Ron shutting down the idea, I just get so turned off. I'm like, you're joking, right? This is 100% a joke. You can't be serious that we're not actually out. We're just out here to post some signs, or glue some signs to some electrical posts. It doesn't take 10 fucking people to do that. One person can do that. The rest of y'all are just standing around following each other in a group. And like the fact that they basically they didn't even wait. I spent 1 or 2 minutes talking to someone. They didn't even wait for me to finish. They just went, they were gone. I was confused, like, where the fuck they go? I had to catch up. Like, so much for, like, solidarity, my ass. Like, they didn't even bother to check on me. Like, if you're with a group of comrades, they even said it earlier that, we shouldn't break up too much because then some of us can get lost and we got to account for one another. They weren't accounting for me. They sure as shit weren't accounting for me when they straight up deserted me, like, mid-conversation with this homeless lady. So, anyways, he didn't like that I brought up the suggestion, and I kind of offered some pushback, a little bit of pushback, because, he said, well, a lot of these kids are alienated. People are alienated. They're not really used to talking to one another. And I'm like, dude, then get them practice talking to one another. Like, you have to connect. You got to be willing to, like, stick your neck out a little bit. Of course, it might be awkward. Of course, you're not going to be good at it first, but you need to do this, I didn't say it like that to him, but basically he said, he shut it down, and I'm like, okay. I jokingly play it off, playfully, like, okay, you're a real Julius Caesar. What you say goes. I'm sorry for pushing the issue. I'll stop. And he was mad the fact that I even brought it up like more than once. I'm like, did I not drop it when you told me to drop it? He's like, well, yeah, eventually. Yeah, eventually. In other words, when you told me to drop it, I dropped it. I just made a light push for it twice, like a light suggestion. And even a light suggestion, or even a little bit of initiative, I guess, wasn't up to bruise his frail ego or just make him feel uncomfortable for no fucking reason. Like, bro, why are you even a socialist organizer? If you're that afraid of other human beings and you're that lacking in urgency, and you're not even trying to lead by example. I'm the one who's fucking leading by example. I'm the one taking initiative, starting conversations, walking up to people, making the sales pitch. I'm the one demonstrating all of the traits that you should be demonstrating as a leader, as a regional party coordinator, and you're not doing anything. And so, yeah, that's it. He didn't like it. He felt like I was being a little too pushy or whatever. What other fucking reason did, what else? There was one other reason. One moment. You guys still there? You guys still there? I dropped out for a second. Can you hear me? Well, I'm going to assume you guys can hear me until you can't. I'm almost done. The other thing was me bringing up the fact that I was kicked out of the PSL 7 years ago because I didn't think China was socialist. 7 years ago, I was in the PSL for a brief stint, and I dared to, I guess, speak out of turn or like offer my minutest, tiniest amount of fucking pushback to the virtual web lesson teacher and just voiced my complaints after class was over or concerns about why I don't think China's socialist. And instead of trying to address those concerns or do some kind of struggle, they just kicked me out. Literally, the lightest bit of just mild dissent, it's all in good faith. It's all constructive. And by the way, after the way China's been acting towards the Israel-Palestine conflict, they definitely ain't fucking socialist after the way they've been acting in regards to Israel and Palestine, but that's a different issue. So they kicked me out over that. And now they're kicking me out over the fact that I mentioned that I got kicked out over something stupid. So I got kicked out over something stupid, came back, mentioned I got kicked out for something stupid, and then they used that as a reason for kicking me out because of something stupid, like a little disagreement. You dared to mention that you had a minor disagreement with us 7 years ago, and that's why you kicked out. Well, that made us feel awkward. That made us feel like, bro, is this the party of weak aura? Is this the party of, like, zero heart, zero strength? Like, you guys are supposed to be on the forefront of American labor. You are supposed to be on the front lines, the people willing to make the hard calls, take the initiative, make personal sacrifices, take risks, put shit on the line. You are the ones that are supposed to be like out there agitating and like fighting, like seriously. Like, and this is the example you're giving where you aren't even like, you can't even give any instruction or guidance to these young youth, like these young new communists who've never done organizing before. You can't give them any guidance. You can't lead by example. And the second that someone who comes along who is taking the initiative shows the barest bit of amount of courage and enthusiasm out of anyone here, and your response is to immediately kick them out just because a couple things they said and did made a couple people slightly uncomfortable unintentionally. Like, I get that I have a pretty intense personality, guys. Like, I can be pretty intense sometimes, especially when I'm in a social mood. I get that I'm not everyone's cup of tea. But me, what does me not being everyone's cup of tea have to do with my, my merits or my attributes or abilities or my positive qualities as a campaign organizer? What does that have to do with the price of rice in China? The entire time, he didn't give me one fucking valid reason why I was kicked out. Not that, oh, you didn't follow my orders when I told you to do this. Well, it'd be one thing if I continued to push the issue during the canvassing thing and I didn't stop. But like, if that was what it was over, then that makes sense. I get it. Democratic centralism. You got to follow and respect the chain of command. The only thing is, I respected the fucking chain of command and still got kicked out. And the fucked up part is I was actually in the middle of writing a more simplified, relatable version of Greg Levy's platform, like propaganda that was more relatable to, the layman, the political layman, people that aren't really like fluent in this matter. I was literally in the middle of writing like a 10-point program when they did this. I'm like, so I just spent the last couple hours of my life writing this for nothing, basically. Nope, fuck you. You made a suggestion. This is why American labor is fucked. This is why America's left is so fucked, dude. Like, the PSL are a self-proclaimed Marxist-Leninist org, and if doing the shit that like a communist ought to do is enough, or like, you know, maybe speaking out of turn one time, or like one little mishap or whatever, you know, something incredibly petty. Like, all the reasons he gave me were extremely fucking petty. I'm gonna be honest. Like, if that's all it takes to kick out what is otherwise someone who's clearly enthusiastic and clearly committed, like, I've been running a fucking YouTube channel on this shit. I've been regularly showing up to protests on and off, and, you know, partaking in any way I can. Now, admittedly, in recent years, no. And like, his response to that, you know, to someone who is volunteering to do free labor, like, and his response to that is just to kick me out, just because whatever. Like, tell you what, man, I'm about to write a video essay, like a half-hour video essay titled, "Where the fuck are all the men?" That's what I'm about to do. Like, seriously, where the fuck are all the men? Like, where are the guys taking initiative? Where are the go-getters? Where is the urgency? Where is the risk-taking behavior? Like you guys are not being manly. Like, I'm not against, you know, I'm not against tone policing, or like making sure that, like, you know, there's no like toxic masculinity or whatever in an organizing space, but there is such thing as positive masculinity, like traits, which, you know, these aren't universal or unique to men. Women can have these traits too, but like, there are traits, positive masculine traits, which I was straight up getting fucking punished for, which is absurd to me. And these are the exact types of traits we need to cultivate in part of cadre in order to do shit. It's crazy. Like, are we really that atomized? Are we really that alienated and isolated as a society? Like, we're the second, you know, you have a slightly awkward social situation, because you're always going to have those, you know, it just happens. Like, are we really at a point to where, like, we as communists, our whole goal should be with connecting to people and bringing people together, and in a self-proclaimed Marxist-Leninist org, they can't even fucking bring themselves to do that shit? Like, am I crazy? Am I wrong? Like, seriously, am I wrong? Am I going crazy? Like, seriously, man, where the fuck are all the men? Like, is this the party for socialism and liberation, or is this the party of just low testosterone? Is this the party of just, like, weak beta males? Or is this, like, the party of, like, you know, Tumblr safe spaces? Or are we, like, a serious, committed party that's, like, actually trying to, like, do shit on the ground? And I went ahead and told him at the end of that phone call, don't contact me again. Don't even fucking bother. I am not giving the PSL another minute of my time. I'm trying to do all this stuff for you guys. I'm trying to put this effort in. I'm trying to contribute and put whatever effort I can and make this project work. I'm like the one person that's not like actually a member doing this, acting with a level of urgency. I'm like the one responding the most in group chats, group text. I'm in correspondence with other members. I'm trying to keep the ball rolling and moving with urgency. And like, I'm the one guy doing this out of the whole group. And their response to that is to immediately boot me on some bullshit. Like, I didn't fucking do anything to them, dude. Not one thing. I didn't insult nobody. I didn't hurt nobody. I didn't stir up drama. I just, what did I do? Slightly overstep boundaries that I didn't even know were being laid in the first place. And when I did overstep a boundary and it got enforced, I didn't back off and respect the boundary quite to the degree of the man's liking. So he just wants to throw me out over it. Like, that empanada is right, man. Like, I listened to that debate with Black Red Guard. That empanada is 100% right about American leftists. There is no urgency. There's like no initiative. Like, There's no like willingness to like actually like get a move on and do shit. I'm not even talking about doing anything illegal. I would never advocate you do anything illegal on this channel. I'm talking about basic, above ground, completely legal shit. Things you can do under the First Amendment. You know, right of assembly, right of free speech. There are no laws on the books against the type of stuff I'm talking about. And even if there are, like, I'm going to stop myself there because I don't want to get kicked off YouTube. Point is, laws are there for a reason. Don't break the law, okay? But like, all the stuff I'm talking about is just completely above ground, and people can't even bring themselves to do that. It's insane to me. And listening to a self-described Maoist in Black Red Guard, like, he can't even like acknowledge the limits of the DSA. He can't even be like, yeah, I recognize these limits. He can't be like, yeah, you're right. It basically is a functionary of the Democratic Party, because all they fucking do is endorse Democrats, and then said Democrats proceed to turn around, go back on the word of their endorsement and constituency. Like, why are you endorsing candidates that immediately betray the cause the second they don't need you no more? Why? Why aren't you putting up your own candidates? You have 100,000 members, all these dues-paying members, all these people, and you can't even start putting up your own candidates. Like, what the fuck? So, at the very least, Black Red Guard could have been like, look, DSA is all that I have. It's the only, active left in my area that's doing some sort of like community organizing. Like, it might not be radically class conscious as it needs to be, but until I can find a better alternative, or until I can work to build a better alternative to try and pull people out, I'm gonna stick with DSA. Like, there's nothing wrong with being in DSA in the short term, as long as you see the party for what it is, and don't like put your loyalty to the party over your principles and your values as a socialist, So, yeah, that's pretty much it. U.S. left is fucked. PSL has complete non-men. I don't know. I don't know. I'm assuming his gender identity's man. Well, he just revoked his man card. Sorry. You're going to have to turn in your man card. I mean, I appreciate and I understand the need to be sensitive and considerate of other people's feelings and all that, and make sure we don't alienate the oppressed, marginalized groups that are necessary and conducive for forming like a party for liberation and socialism. I get that, but like asking for someone's phone number in a platonic context after having a 3-hour conversation with them and everybody else, and when I'm asking for everyone else's phone numbers, and like, well, yeah, you were just kind of being a little pushy and it's just patriarchal. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like, excuse me? Like, again, am I going crazy? Am I going crazy? Am I wrong? Let me know if I'm wrong in the chat. Anyways, I'm going to read some comments. So, I'm not joining the ACP. It's a infrared Hoslerite cult. I want nothing to do with infrared. I'm not touching the All right, cool. Sorry I disappeared. My girlfriend just called. I might have to end this. Oh, 1 second. All right, I'm back. Hopefully, no more interruptions. I might have to cancel the live stream, but I hope this was an entertaining story. I hope you guys took something away from it. You got to be aware of these things, man. When you get involved with these communist orgs, I don't know how many of you guys are in an org. No, I'm not joining the ACP. I might try my hand at the DSA because fuck it. I mean, no one else available. all these socialist orgs, man, are just cringe. They're all cringe. They're all like the fucking stereotype of the SJW, like the hypersensitive, like, looking for fishing for reasons to accuse someone of being a bigot, like that caricature of the SJW snowflake. That's like literally half these orgs. Like that's like the impression I get in a lot of these areas. You know, like anybody remember the DSA meeting, like the National DSA caucus, like a few years ago, when people were interjecting with like personal point of privilege, personal point of privilege. Please don't use gendered language, or like personal point of privilege. Please do not clap, do jazz hands. Like, bro, like, are we really going to cater to like every single tiny little neurodivergent person's like little whims? Like, at what point? At what point are we just splitting the movement for hairs? At what point are we just turning people away? Okay, this guy. You take a guy, like me, who's pretty, I guess I consider myself, stereotypically pretty masculine. And when I shout at people, when I yell at people, it's I come off as like angry, like I'm yelling at them out of like anger, or like it's a antagonistic yell. A lot of people get that. They think that I'm, when I shout, I raise my voice. I'm coming off as like angry when it's actually not an angry shout. It's a utilitarian shout. You didn't hear me. I need to get your attention. So here I am trying to get your attention. Like, I'm not going to fucking walk on eggshells and like change my entire personality and completely alter the way I express myself so that I don't offend, so I can avoid offending every single little tiny fucking sensibility around other people. Just so I can avoid, offending the sensibilities of passive aggressive, non confrontational bitches who don't have enough backbone to just tell me if there's something I'm doing that they don't like, or just tell me, if they have like a disagreement or whatever, or like just fucking respond with energy rather than like, run it like the little students tattling to the teacher. The same type of drama happened in grade school all the time. One student doesn't like me, or I did something they don't like, so they just, instead of talking with me about it, so we can actually form an understanding, rather than, maybe see if there's a connection there, and you can, at worst, I'll figure out, we can kind of struggle on it, and if I was wrong, I'll apologize and I'll admit that I was wrong, or you can just run to the campaign coordinator, snitch on me about some bullshit, some nebulous bullshit, and just fucking kick me out. Like, whatever, man. It's times like these when I just want to go full wrecker. I just want to join the PSL just to fuck it up. No, I'm just kidding. But I hope so. Fuck the PSL. Tell you what, guys, if there's a communist revolution in America, if we do get like an American Bolshevik party, I know which parties are not those parties. It ain't going to be the DSA, and it's definitely not going to be the DSA, but it's also not going to be the PSL. We are going to have something resembling an American Bolshevik party eventually, but the PSL ain't it. That's what I'm here tonight to warn you guys. The PSL ain't it. If you're in the PSL and you heard all this, I wish you the best of luck. I hope things work out for you better than it has for me, but both my instances with the PSL have been pretty negative. Like fucking seriously. Like, literally getting kicked out for the crime of wanting to organize better and wanting to put more effort and move with more urgency. Anyways, enough about that. Let's read some comments. Are we really going to have a vanguard at all? Eventually. I think we will. If we do get a vanguard, there's a chance that it won't be Marxist-Leninist at all. It's going to be a completely different ideology. There's just like some sort of non-aligned socialist or some weird malformed Nazbol gang or some shit. If we do have a party, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I'm gonna scroll up a bit. Let's go back about 5 minutes in time. Yeah, probably will start my own. Good luck to you. I think the left fetishized weakness because of COINTELPRO. Why not the Green Party? I mean, let's see. Bob Avakian and his gang have generally good takes. Yeah, but they're a cult. Role playing, yeah, they are role playing. They're LARPers, dude. Why not Green Party? I mean, I've canvassed and I've partook in the Green Party. The problem with the Green Party is it's not really an ideologically cohesive organization. They put up presidential campaigns, they never win. They put no energy or emphasis into running locally, which is honestly, any leftist org at this stage shouldn't even be bothered with the presidency. They should condemn both Republican and Democrat choices as a non-choice and ultimatum, and to refuse to partake, and just don't do it, and just focus on local and regional areas. That's going to be a more effective, conducive use of the time, and that's a big reason why I was excited about rejoining the PSL, because they were doing something local. I mean, not that local. Ohio Senate is definitely higher up the totem pole, but it's not presidency. Like, I can get behind like an Ohio Senate run. You know, the PSL with its resources, that would definitely be a more conducive use of their resources than running Gloria La Riva. And yeah, you'll get like 100,000 votes, maybe. But like, you don't have, there's no point. Those resources are better spent at a more decentral local level. Let's see. Why are shit talking ACP for no reason and going for orgs that will never go? I'm not, because again, infrared cults. There's a lot of DSA chapters all across the country. Yeah, I know. I'll check out the DSA in my area, see if there's something there. I don't expect much. Like, PSL really like shattered any delusion, any spell I was under, to where I thought there was actually something good. This is seriously disappointing. I thought the PSL was going somewhere good. I thought like I was seeing the makings of a grassroots socialist movement. Boy, was I wrong. PSL, there's some issues with that at like a fundamental level. Like, if there are any no real socialist orgs in the States, why not create one? I mean, I wouldn't start a party, but I would definitely it would be communist aligned. I don't know what I would do. Probably something maybe like a book club or mutual aid or something. I think the most productive thing to do would just see what sort of local antagonisms are happening, and like start from there. Like, see what kind of find a company or corporation, say like Kroger, that's doing shitty things, and start with that, like local, and just try to draw people in with that. But you got to be careful when you're actually like doing effective organizing, because even like the milquetoast shit can get the deep state on your ass. Like, you could be literally just doing nothing but feeding homeless children, and feeding homeless children and offering the slightest bit of pushback on business as usual, and that's going to get the feds involved pretty quickly. So you got to be really smart and careful and tactical about what you do. There's always ways you can be a thorn in the side of business as usual. Just know that if you prove to be too much trouble, they'll eventually come down on you like the banhammer of God. So you got to be really careful, have top-notch operational security, and yeah. I've never done anything like that, but I do want to start an artist club, like a socialist artist club, like an artist guild of sorts, where I just bring a bunch of like-minded communists who want to produce artwork. And because no real revolutionary movement is complete without like a proper artistic counterculture. And this is true for pretty much any major. You need music, you need your artists. Artists and musicians are always run counterculture to the status quo in a lot of ways. I mean, they get co-opted all the time because of fucking liberalism. Like, punk rock got co-opted and assimilated. The counterculture got co-opted and assimilated. I mean, the Panthers, they weren't like a musical counterculture, but they didn't get co-opted and assimilated. No, they just got fucking obliterated. But again, you can learn from their mistakes, and you can always improve. White people just want to feel oppressed. Imagine a DSA person in Petrograd 1970. That's what I'm saying, man. The real commies were taking bullets at Stalingrad. Like, the communists of old were fucking men. Like they were actually fucking men. Like they were willing to go out and put shit on the line and take risks. They were willing to do shit. They at the very least moved with urgency. They were at the very least constantly like out and about conducting class struggle. You see none of that out of people today. Can't even bring themselves to fucking canvas at a canvassing event. Can't even bring yourself to walk up to a stranger and introduce your platform or like knock on someone's door. Give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break. Never saw the value in DSA. The worst left party org here in Brazil is far more masculine than all American orgs combined. You know, I'm starting to think one thing I'm really starting to think is maybe there is something to the xenoestrogen conspiracy theory. Maybe they really are dumping all these chemicals in the water that make the frogs gay. Like, maybe there is something to that. Like, it's just annoying to me, like, how my attempt to try and connect to someone was immediately interpreted as a threat or, like, harassment. Like, that's crazy to me. That really speaks to the level of atomization, like how atomized we are. Like, no wonder why people are so damn lonely. Nobody fucking talks to one another. Everyone is afraid of each other. Everyone hates one another. Like, goddamn, please stop messaging me, Discord. But the whole point of a communist movement is it's a movement of love, ultimately. It's the politics of love. It's the politics of love, compassion, and understanding. It's also the politics of bravery. Like, don't kid yourselves. Right-wingers love to jack off to their idea of guns and their traditional tropes of masculinity. I don't believe in abolishing the concept of gender at all or masculinity at all. I just believe in reimagining it or re-advising it. I'll tell you what is way more manly than being like a right-winger, like being a juiced-up right-winger with a gun and you're like a cop brutalizing teenagers for jaywalking. I'll tell you what's way more badass than that is being like a Hamas militant, you know, who's trained his child to fight the Israelis and fight the West, and you're out there bombing tunnels that Israelis are infiltrating, you're winning ground incursions, you're going up against an army that has overwhelming superiority and like the best technology in the world, while all you've got is like archaic Kalashnikovs and like RPG launchers. You've got like no air force. I'll tell you what, that guy, the Hamas militant, is way more badass and way more fucking manly than any American right-winger ever has or ever will be. Just saying. Like, Graham Plattner thinks of himself as a man. He ain't no man. He's a coward. He fought the poorest people in the world where he could only win and have his edge. Yeah, he enjoys killing. He enjoys fighting when he's up against an enemy that can't fight back. We, on the other hand, are up against an enemy with overwhelming superiority and all the advantages in the world. And it's such a fucking uphill battle. I would say the militant that's actually up against the status quo. They've got nukes, they've got artificial intelligence, all this advanced shit, like the deep state. I'd say that militant is a million times more badass and way more alpha than any of these fucking right-wingers are. Like, a real man is sure of himself. He's sure in his own manhood, and he's sure of his own strength, and he doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. And that's why, I mean, right-wingers are obsessed with the aesthetic of manhood, concepts of manhood. Really, they're people who obsess over masculinity are losers. Like, they're only so obsessed in their own manhood because they're insecure in their own manhood, because they're afraid. Because when you get down to the brass tacks, you peel away the layers, you are left with an ignorant, fearful, hateful little child who's lashing out and projecting their own insecurities onto others who would not share them. That's all that is. Right-wing pathology is the pathology of psychological projection. They are guilty of literally everything they accuse others of and more. A lot of people are incredibly sheltered, especially in the first world. Most of these SJWs are from upper middle class backgrounds. I mean, yeah, a lot of people in the PSL. A lot of them are just college students, H-1B visa students, pretty middle class background, and there's nothing wrong with that inherently. But like, there's a certain element of aesthetic that goes into it. Like, they're interested in the idea and the aesthetic of like revolutionary politics without like the substance of it, and they're like caught up in the optics. Like, they're focusing on the wrong things, and they're getting caught up on irrelevant bullshit. Is what I'm trying to say. Like, I get that you want to make sure that these spaces are, you know, safe. Like, you're able to make these spaces comfortable for like the marginalized, of course. But at the same time, you shouldn't like treat every newcomer, like every act, like it's like a threat. Like, tell you what, man. I don't really know what the answer is to that, to be honest. But if me being myself is really like, I'm in a group of people and I get along with 90% of everyone, but just like one or two people just don't like my personality. I'll tell you what it is. These people just don't like me, dude. Like this person, this non-man, this person LARPing as a man, he just did not like me. That's all that was. Like, that's why I got kicked out. That he just didn't like me. That's really it. I don't really think any of the reasons he had were valid. I didn't fucking do anything. All right. What if there's a SJW who actually grew up working class? Would that make a difference? Not really. Like, honestly, it's just like the obsession with like idpol and like safe spaces. It's like the aesthetic, and it's a very juvenile concept, I think, of like identity politics. It's just very juvenile, in my opinion, to like actively seek out ways to go after, just fishing for reasons to be off-put by other people. Like, you gotta understand that, like, people, like, not everybody's gonna have a personality to your liking. Like, and you're not gonna agree with everyone and everything. Like, yeah, if someone's like blatantly being racist or homophobic or whatever, then yeah, kick them out. But like, I just didn't do anything. They were just looking for reasons. I felt like working for the PSL for the brief stint that I did felt like working for most of my employers. Most of the jobs I've had in my life. Yeah, most of the people there are generally chill, generally cool. You get along with your coworkers. You're doing fine. But then, like, your manager just doesn't like you, or you don't do the job to the manager's liking, or like you act independent, and if the manager decides they don't like you, they'll just find whatever lame excuse they can to kick you out. So here's what it is. Who needs them anyways? What's your reason for not believing in gender abolition? Okay, dude. So gender is a psychological manifestation of sex and how we view ourselves. It's also like, it's a social construct, but it's also a psychological manifestation of how we interpret sex. I'm not denying that there's no like validity to the concept whatsoever, and I'm not saying that anyone ought to behave in a certain way, but I'm like, we're talking about deconstructing something that's literally existed since the history of humanity, and we're talking about like deprogramming or decoding a series of not just socially enforced, but like psychologically like pervasive. Like, what I'm trying to say is, as long as there are people with testicles between their legs, and as long as there are people with ovaries, there are going to be people who perceive themselves, express themselves in a certain light, obviously with exceptions. As long as there are X and Y chromosomes, there is going to be, on some way, shape, or form or another, the psychological manifestation of gender. Like, and I don't think it's really something you can abolish. I think it's like part of the human experience. And I don't think genders as they exist are the problem. I think the problem is gender as we view it now and gender as how it's like, viewed or expressed. Um, so what I'm trying to say is there are like toxic masculinity is real, toxic femininity is real, but there's also positive masculinity and positive femininity. Man, I don't think there's anything wrong with like, you know, being, embracing and supporting these traits, but by that same token, there's nothing wrong with necessarily not conforming to a certain ideal as well. Like, yeah, these are ideals that we ought to strive for, but even if you don't fit the mold, if you don't if you aren't like typical, there shouldn't be any shame associated with that, is what I'm trying to say. Because yeah, gender's a spectrum. Gender expression is a spectrum. On one end, you got your fucking Henry Cavills and your Arnold Schwarzeneggers. On the other ends, you have fucking bombshells like let's see, Holly Berry, or I can't. Famous women are not many famous women that are coming to mind right now that admittedly aren't porn stars. I mean, there's Scarlett Johansson. There's who are some other extremely conventionally feminine women? They aren't coming to mind. Well, anyways, and then there are all who bounce in between. I don't know. It's a complicated subject. I'm sure someone who's like got their doctorates or their mastery thesis in gender shit could probably run circles around me in a debate. All I know is that there are a list of traits that are definitely the measure of a man, certain traits that like you have to have as a man, that you need to cultivate as a man, that will make you a lot more happy and actualized, and it will help you attain the life that you want. But a big part of this is environmental. I kind of want to talk about inceldom a bit, but that's a different thing. Hillary Clinton, big ass. Oh yes, Hillary Clinton. Ugh. They got called Nosbol because they were hanging out and saying they support Dugin, the founder of Nosbol. Well, yeah, of course. Nosbol Party is the gang for you and me against the Jewish bourgeoisie. Dugin is straight up like a fascist. Like, no holds barred. Straight fascist. What else we got here? Oh, you guys are arguing about fucking the ACP still. The left in the US is more than many other places, is poisoned by so many distractions from the class struggle. Divide and rule has really worked well. This is not critique Deluge or Lacan's gender abolition, by the way. Oh, no, it's not. Not at all. Not at all. I don't trust Jackson Hinkle. Yeah, he's a grifter. He admitted day one that he's in it for the clout. He does everything for the clout. Okay, so you just have no principles then. You're just going to grift to whoever pays you the most. So yeah, I knew he was a fraud from the start. Your brain structure determines your gender for the most part, yeah. I'm going to give you guys a crash course in my conceptualization of masculinity, or the types of traits that any man ought to cultivate and are truly the measures of a man. Main thing being like assertiveness, urgency, initiative, the willingness to do what has to be done or need to be done in the moment, the willingness to take the lead, take initiative, the ability to persevere through struggle, the ability to take the risks needed and take the sacrifices needed in order to accomplish your goals, and standing up for others, standing up for your loved ones, the people you care about, and being willing to do it, not letting anyone mistreat you. Just having a spine, having a backbone. Like there's so many. I'll tell you what's contributing to the rise of the whole masculinity crisis. It's the rise of fucking social media and capitalism. Like with fucking incels. Tell you what, man, most incels, the reason why they can't get laid is literally just because they're broke and they're stuck in the suburbs and they're unable to go anywhere to where they can connect with people. Maybe they're socially awkward, they're younger guys, kind of insecure. We all go through it at some stage. Most guys go through it at some stage where they're just kind of insecure. They don't really know how to talk to people. They have anxiety. I had really bad social anxiety for the longest time because I was afraid of being rejected or just being like turned away. I had a very low self-esteem, didn't fucking help that I didn't really have anyone in my corner to back me up. I mean, that eventually changed when I got fed up with it. But like, yeah, like a lot of these guys are just fucking lonely because they're stuck in the suburbs where you need a car to go anywhere, and they don't have money. Money is a huge limiter. You don't got money, you can't go to college. Like 60% of college attendees are young females. Like, so out of high school, there you are. So can't go out, can't go shopping, can't go around and about, can't join clubs. You can't have a lot of these social interactions, some of which are extremely expensive, and so you're just stuck at home doom scrolling, basically. So like, that's not a you problem, that's a capitalism problem. And so what happens from there is, you know, these guys think there's something wrong with them. They're not socially calibrated at all because they never really had like an in-group. You know, people have fewer and fewer friends. So they go online and they get into self-help shit. And some of them get into the red pill grift. Others go further down the rabbit hole into the incel grift. And they'll meet other incels online, or guys that call themselves incel. They'll find out they're not alone in being alone. And so they'll form these communities, which are based on hate. I'm not apologizing or trying to, like, you know, coddle incels. They are hate groups, basically. They turn into hate groups because they're alone, they're unwanted, they're unloved. So they start posting pictures of themselves and start judging one another. They start trying to quantify, you know, the exact trajectory of their jawline or whatever. You know, try to get it down to a science. They start shitting on each other. A lot of racism gets involved because a lot of them are minorities as well. And then they'll start egging each other on and just feeding into their hate cult, their little hate group, until a small minority of them start lashing out. And they start, you know, going out and carrying out violent acts of terror. And so, like, these guys are mentally ill. They're deeply alienated. They're mentally ill. Like, they're just deranged, basically. They're a product of the extreme alienation combined with extreme economic inequality, combined with just like the fact that there's like no opportunities whatsoever for people anymore to get out of their living situations. They're a product of that. So like, also dating apps. Dating apps are a fucking scam. They are designed to keep you lonely and miserable for both men and women. They are. If dating apps could be a useful tool, the potential of dating apps is very high. Dating apps could be used to connect people in ways they've never been connected before. That goes with social media in general. Social media did not need to become a tool used to divide us. On the contrary, it could be engineered as a tool to unify humanity in revolutionary, unprecedented ways never before seen. But that's not how these websites are designed. Taking dating apps, for example, a person who gets dates and meets their dates through a dating app are going to stop using the dating app. However, a person who's alone and desperate and can't find the partners they want are going to fucking... No, I don't have sponsors. The people that are lonely and desperate and can't find matches and can't get dates on dating apps are going to be way more inclined to pay for likes. They're going to be paying for the subscription service. And this is how these dating apps directly profit off of your insecurity. And so they suck for both men and women. They suck for men because you're going to be, you know, endlessly swiping, trying to get any sort of attention you can whatsoever. And you're just going to get like barely any matches. You could have nothing wrong. You could have absolutely nothing wrong with you. You could be well socially calibrated, decent looking guy, good paying job. You know, you've got interests and hobbies. You know, you're well adjusted. And you're going to struggle like a motherfucker to, you know, meet someone who isn't just going to immediately flake. Women have the opposite problem. While men are dying of thirst, women are drowning to death. They are being, because women swipe way less often on men. There's way fewer women on these dating apps than there are men. A lot of women don't use dating apps because they're afraid of getting raped or murdered, basically. So they just stay off them. And a lot of women are terrified to meet their dates in real life, understandably so. So these dating apps do absolutely nothing to keep predators or sex offenders from using them to take advantage of people. And men get taken advantage of on dating apps as well. There's a shit ton of scams. Like, like someone posing as a woman. Oh, turns out you just got mugged. Um, but women even more so. The problem with women is that they match with basically every man that they swipe on. Um, Men are forced to swipe on everyone. Women are more selective in who they swipe, but they match with literally everyone. So they're just bombarded with messages from so many guys. They have what's called paralysis by analysis. They're presented with so many options, they don't know which one to go with. And they're afraid if they go with one option, it's a missed opportunity or there's an opportunity cost for another. And yeah. And so they usually, because you're watered down purely based on your appearance, your humanity, your interests, your character, and your soul are completely removed. And the term dating market perfectly encapsulates what these dating apps seek to do. They seek to commoditize sex and dating. They seek to turn relations between men and women into relations between commodities. Something that should be absolutely sacred and like something that, like, at the soul. This is something that matters at the soul. They're taking the soul out of it completely, and you're watered down purely based on your aesthetic or what you're presented. So women are only going to have one thing to go off of most of the time, and it's usually going to be your outward appearance. And lo and behold, when women are presented with a shit ton of options, they're going to choose the best looking options. So like, it's so yeah, basically, and this is where incels get the Chad Stacy dilemma, because women have nothing else to go off of on these dating apps when meeting partners besides looks. So they're going to go for like the best looking dudes available, when otherwise they're not linking up with men that they would connect well with. Yes, looks matter for women, but not as much as people think. It matters if they're looking for a one night stand. It matters if they're just looking for casual dates and sex. I mean, it matters in that context. But if women are looking for like a romantic partner or a long term relationship, they're going to be a lot more forgiving on that sort of thing. You don't need to be like a 6 foot tall, muscle bound male model looking dude in order to find a long-term partner. You don't even need to be that in order to find a short-term partner. For women, there's strong components of empathy that goes into their sexuality. That's the reason why they love romance novels, and that's why porn doesn't really do it for women like it does men. For men, we can pretty much look at images of people having sex, and that'll get us going. For women, it's not enough to see the image of people having sex. They've got to know who the woman is, who the man is, what is their relationship, what is the drama surrounding their lives, what is the overarching story that's going on, how are the ways they can relate to the woman or to the man. There's a strong component of empathy that goes along with it, hence why women love romance novels. They like these cheesy romance novels. Got my 80-year-old grandma reading 50 Shades of Grey and erotic literature. Like, and it's really funny. She has a type, right? It's a fucking every time I remember going over there as a lad when I was young, and I would always catch her reading these erotic novels, and she had a type. It was always like Western, like American spaghetti Western type stuff, and it was usually like this ripped Native American dude swooning this white woman on the cover, and she was like reading these novels. It's like John Redcorn with Nancy from King of the Hill. Pretty fucking funny. Funny shit. Use Hinge. It's not that bad. They're affected by looks. I met a lot of great girls on it. Yeah, I wouldn't use dating apps at all if I were single. I'm in a happy relationship of going on 8 years now, and I don't want to leave her. I love her too much, and I could never betray her like that. I mean, I have once, but I couldn't betray her like that again. I love her too much. So I'm in a happy relationship. If I were single, I would just be cold approaching. I'd be meeting women in public places. I'd be, going to clubs, social gatherings, doing warm approach. I would be trying to meet women the old-fashioned way. I wouldn't really fuck with dating apps just because, like, I mean, ironically, I say as I met my girlfriend on a dating app, I wouldn't fuck with them. I would just go in public. But yeah, don't use Tinder. I would stay clear of dating apps. If you're a single guy on Tinder, it is a very fast and efficient, expensive, costly, literally costly way of completely wrecking your self-esteem. So don't use it. Romance is gay as fuck. Just read the Quran, bro. Oh yes, read the Quran. Anyways, I think we've reached the tail end of this live stream, and so I'm gonna go through some more comments. Sociology, gender identity, sexuality, then class struggle. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Honestly, guys, I am fucking you. You guys are coming in at the tail end of this podcast. Just rewind it and watch it from the beginning. I taught literally the first half hour of this. I might make this private and re-upload it and cut out like the last 20, 30 minutes of rambling. I'm just rambling right now. Anybody tuning in now, just rewind a fucking hour. Rewind to the start and you'll get all the context that you're missing if you're in here late. Sexism, racism, these are not Marxist concepts. Marx talked about economic base being where, well, yeah, but there's also like other stuff that exists outside of the context of like traditional Marxism, dude. Every aspect of our lives are affected by capitalism. Literally every fucking aspect. And yeah, this does include dating and romance. It includes social relations like friendship and family. It includes literally every aspect of our lives. Capitalism seeks to remove the human factor as much as possible and then chop all of the necessities of life, all of our wants, needs, and desires into little private services, little goods, little boxes. They want us to live in increasingly larger homes with fewer and fewer people living in them in increasingly spread out, atomized suburbs with, everyone being dependent on private automobiles. Again, another service right there. To get around, you need to drive a car 15 minutes just to go to the bathroom in this country. All of the amenities where you have third spaces where people can meet and everything's within walking distance is downtown, and that's going to cost ludicrous amounts of money. So really, having like a flourishing social life and having like all the things like the sociological needs of the human animal are really going to be met by like the wealthy and privileged. They're the ones that are going to be able to, stay off their phones for extended periods. They're the ones that are going to be able to live in their insulated little bubble where everyone knows everyone, friends and family. You've got like petty bourgeois, upper class people living in the Shire, like the hobbits from Lord of the Rings, that sort of thing. I can in this stream halfway through. Yeah, come in the very anyone else coming in late, start from the very beginning and you'll see why. But to reiterate, to close this out, Bad Empanada is right. The American left is fucked. I got kicked out on complete bullshit. I literally just rejoined the PSL and I got kicked out for the crime of being too enthusiastic about organizing in the PSL. I dared to, at a canvassing event where it was presented to me like we were going to be fucking canvassing. We were going to be going door to door, knocking on doors, presenting our candidate. I dared to be the one person that actually wanted to talk and connect with people, while the regional coordinator wanted to make lame-ass excuses for why. Like, oh, now's not the time. We're not used to it. These people are new. They're new to organizing. And I'm like, well, they're not going to get experience not doing anything, dude. And I just called this out directly. And I brought it up at the very end of the meeting, a suggestion. He didn't like the fact that I had a lot of stuff to say. I dared to have suggestions and criticisms. All I said was that you shouldn't be afraid to talk to people, because remember that these are the people we need to organize in order to have an actual movement. We need there's a big component of connection and connectivity that needs to happen, and that's not going to happen if we can't even bring ourselves to knock on someone's fucking door and introduce ourselves. Like when is this nebulous future when we're going to actually canvass? Like we practiced last week. We literally practiced this shit the week prior. During the meeting I got invited to, we've gotten in little groups and we rehearsed practicing going door to door for like 15, 20 minutes. Why would we do that if we weren't also going to be exercising our social muscle by going outside and actually talking to people? Like, it's just so lame, dude. I went as far as to write reimagine the propaganda, because it's using way too much advanced Marxist theoretical language, talking about concepts people are just unfamiliar with. You need to start from zero. You can't start from a place to where someone's like a kind of maybe socialist. You need to start from a place where people are just unplugged completely, and you need to appeal to them on a material basis. So I actually started writing a version of that pamphlet or propaganda that's like more direct on this basis, and then reel people in more slowly. Meet people where they are. And what do they do while I'm mid document doing this free work for them? What do they do? They kick me out because I dared to make someone uncomfortable when I asked for their number, when I was asking for everyone's phone numbers there because I wanted to get connected with, the cadre of Cincinnati. I was getting everyone's number. I wasn't like trying to fucking court or date this girl, but she was just like weirded out or creeped out by me like asking for her number. Like, bro, I have a girlfriend. I don't give a fuck about you. Like, holy shit. Like, it's so crazy where people are just so divided and nobody talks to one another anymore. Like, seriously, what little talking people do is with each other on social media, but people don't get together to do anything. And again, it's not a you problem. It's also a capitalism problem. It's partially a you problem, but it's partially a you problem because it's a capitalism problem. Like, but yeah, I would go to the start of the live stream because I did the majority of my bitching at the start. Yeah, fine, I'll keep it in full. But yeah, nah, I will make a video here soon. I don't know about what yet. I want to kind of talk about AI. I kind of want to just talk about issue-specific things that are like affecting us. My dog's trying to chase after a fucking deer right now. Down, buddy. Down, doggy. Chill out. You can't have that deer. You ain't chasing. You ain't chasing, dog. You ain't chasing. So, yeah. I just refuse to shallow myself down and put limits on my own expression just because certain aspects of my personality may not be to someone's liking, or they don't care enough about me. Like, they don't care enough to actually like, or have like the stones to fucking come and talk to me with an issue personally. If they have an issue with something I did and just to ask me about it, like, all the coordinator did was give a list of reasons, like things to talk about. He's like, well, I'm cutting you. Even though he didn't have anything to say when I addressed literally every fucking thing he brought up. He's like, well, you were a little pushy on us, on us going door to door and knocking. And I'm like, yeah. And when you said you didn't want to argue about it, I stopped. You told me to drop it, so I dropped it. He's like, well, yeah, you did eventually. Like, what? I dropped it literally the fucking second you told me to drop it. I only brought it up because I was confused. Then the whole phone number ordeal, some fucking bitch getting offended on a trans person's behalf because of a joke I made introducing myself. Again, I'm like, I see this person next to me, and I'm like, that outfit makes you look like a girl. And she said, that's the idea. I'm like, hello, my name is this. And I'm like, yeah, my name's that. And we introduce ourselves, and we get along literally the entire night. They actually kind of laughed and giggled when I said that. So this person doesn't take themselves too seriously, but someone in the room, one of them fucking pussies in the room, felt the need to get offended on their behalf when they weren't even offended. Why don't you let this person speak for their fucking selves? If they've got a problem, they can say it to me or they can say it with the coordinator. Like, how about you don't speak on behalf of other people where there's no problem? Why don't you let them speak for themselves? Why do you feel the need to get offended on someone else's behalf in a conversation that has nothing to fucking do with you? What a joke, man. What a fucking joke. I didn't do fucking anything wrong. I really don't think I did anything wrong. But who knows? Maybe I am the problem. Maybe I'm just a narcissist. Maybe the problem isn't the PSL sucks. Maybe the problem is just me. Who knows? Who knows? We got B's right about the American left. Yes, he's absolutely right. You fucking kidding me? Oh, there's like a billion comments I missed. Absolutely. And he's right in the sense that they don't have any urgency. They're not willing to take any risks. They're not willing to put anything on the line. Like, I'm in a cadre of 30-something Oh shit. I'm in a cadre of 30-something self-proclaimed Marxist-Leninists. These are supposed to be like the most radical and committed of the working class to the building of socialism and the abolition of capitalism. These are the most theoretically advanced Marxists in my city. When they can't even bring themselves to knock on people's fucking doors and canvass at a canvas event, all they can do is like occasionally pass out flyers limp-wristedly without taking the time to talk with anyone, and glue some signs to some fences and light posts and electrical outlets, or electrical posts, I mean, and just walk around aimlessly. Like, for one, like, and there's no plan, like nobody actually rehearsed or prepared. Like there could have been that could have been such a more productive event, man. If time was actually taken for people to actually practice like their opener and like seal the deal, if like groups were designated ahead of time, if we had like small groups here and there, we're gonna hit this street, you're gonna hit that street, and we hit all the streets around the block, and we had a plan to hit this area and canvas here, and then go over here, canvas there. And you know what? That would be a lot more fruitful. That'd be a lot more fruitful if it was like, if we're running people for city council. Matter of fact, fuck the Senate. We should focus on city council, I think. At this point, I'm just rambling. But yeah, like, point is like, there's like no urgency. There's no like push. And like, there's no like initiative being taken. Like, there's no enthusiasm. There's no ecstaticism. And these are like people aren't even willing to take the slight risk that they might have an awkward, uncomfortable conversation or encounter with a person. Like if you knock on a door and someone's an asshole to you, okay, fine, no big deal, just move on. That you're gonna get that. Like you have to take that risk. So what are you gonna do? Just never talk to anyone about it? Is that it? Like, it's just so fucking limp-wristed and impotent, dude. Like, Bad Empanada's right. Like that. Holy shit! That whole experience with the PSL completely vindicated Bad Empanada. I'm not trying to be a doomer here. I'm not trying to fucking sow seeds of despair. But all I'm saying is, join an org if you can. Get involved in whatever orgs you can. But I mean, you got to tread lightly, man. You got to really tread lightly, because like you can get kicked out for being too excited. Like, holy fuck. Get it? Like, well, I'm sorry for wanting to make friends and being happy, and feeling like I'm in the group. It's like I get invited to a group, and the second I show commitment and show interest and like want to be a part of it, they just kick me to the curb. They discard me like a used condom. It's really disheartening, man. Really disheartening. Why can't I send a super chat? You just did. Or wait, no, I wasn't at. I probably got super chats off. I don't want super chats, man. Maybe once I've got content coming again, once I start making videos again, maybe I'll get into my my Gearbox settings and turn on super chats. I don't want your money right now. I don't deserve it. Once I've actually got things worth, once I've got some videos online, some actual videos, then I'll probably turn it on. But I don't want your money, man. Mushrooms are degenerate. No proletariat should do drugs. Yeah, and the Bible says thou shalt not kill, and notice how that solved all murder. Oh, wait. Master technology spread the word. Neobukara. Who the fuck is Neo? FT isn't even talking about no war but class war. He's mainly complaining about inaccessibility. The dude is ultra white. Well, if you guys feel like, I don't know, tell me what you think down below. If you think I'm wrong, if I overstep my boundaries, if you think I did something wrong, overstep my boundaries, maybe like, I shouldn't have got too excited, or I don't know, like, I just feel like if you see someone who's clearly a comrade, who's like super excited, they're like willing to volunteer. I see someone with You know, when I see someone with that kind of energy, I'm willing to overlook, you know, certain things. Like if they've got a few problematic tendencies here and there, okay, but this person's a comrade. They've got your back. Like they're willing to struggle with you. They're willing to get you out of a bind and help you out. Like you should struggle with that person. At least give them a chance. Like if they have some sort of problematic tendencies, at least give them a chance to like, you know, improve or like struggle with them. Like if you like the PSL doesn't even struggle with me. They don't even give me a chance to like sit down and like, you know, whatever. They just be like, you did this, you're wrong. We're not even going to try to engage with you when you try to explain whatever. Like, we're just going to kick you out because we're just a little protest club. And, you know, we proclaim to be all about the politics of love and bringing people together until you do something we don't like, you're fucking gone. These are your hardcore cadres, guys. These are your comrades. These are the leaders of the American Marxist-Leninist movement. You know, just got to be, yep, you just got to be a fucking passive little bitch, basically. That's what it tells me. And there's still fucking traffic on this goddamn road. Ugh. Sorry if there are some audio problems. People are driving their little cars round and about across the street. Oh, how courteous. They're letting me cross the street without running me over. Let's see. What does your girlfriend think of your politics? She doesn't care. She's apolitical. I would say she's like firmly like left-leaning apolitical, but she's not a liberal or like a socialist. She doesn't really care. I've tried to get her into it before. She doesn't give a shit. It is what it is. Homosexuality is naturally Marxist because Marx and Engels being gay is the only explanation for why Engels paid for the rent. Yay, philosophers. I don't really know if that has anything to do with anything, but shrooms ain't changing anyone's perspective. Shrooms, I think shrooms have a time and a place for use. I think they can, you know, be used as like a psychological reset. They can help people be introspective and like rethink themselves or self-reflect. I think they have some value. They can, you know, be a little creativity booster, or they can just be fun recreationally. I don't know. I haven't done shrooms in years. I wouldn't mind trying them again sometime. I'd go for a little trip. Ultra white. I don't know what you mean. FT was responding to someone in the chat. Oh, I was so confused when he said I was ultra white. I mean, yeah, I'm fucking white. I don't know. So, white was invented by Western imperialist beasts. No one insulted me. And it's not an insult to call me white. I'm fucking white. I'm a direct descendant of white European settlers, dude. I'm just a white European settler that is a little bit ahead of the curve when it comes to this political shit. No one's special. There's no more Marxist struggle in building revolution than just class analysis. Comrades, you also think poor Americans are lumpenized, as my theory suggests, due to atomized? Yeah, of course, you're always going to have that declassing, lumpenized aspect to it. But it's hard not to have those things, considering what a deranged social experiment the United States is. Like, let's say you grow up in America, you're going to be born, more often than not, you're probably going to be born in a white, middle class, lower middle class household. You're going to be brought up, put through the public education system, which is getting gutted, by the way, where SAT scores are slipping more and more. Schools are floundering more and more as funding gets cut. The teacher to student ratio is getting higher and higher. Teachers are having to do more work, spend more of their own money in order to compensate and do their classes and programs. And students' attention spans are in the gutter. You know, smartphones have literally sapped and obliterated people's capacity for attention span. I should know. I have a low ass attention span. Not only that, you need to hop in a car to go anywhere. There's like nothing within walking distance for a lot of the country. Like a good 80% of this country is like straight up unlivable or unwalkable. People, cars are dehumanizing, suburbs are dehumanizing. You're like a tiny little king on your tiny little fiefdom plot of land with your lawn and your house. You don't know any of your neighbors. Everyone's suspicious of one another. You've got hateful politicians and hateful people on the news spewing hateful politics and a hateful agenda, leading Americans to hate each other. People need to hop in cars all the time and drive around, which are super expensive and atomizing and dehumanizing. Cars are very dehumanizing. They make it so you don't see other people as people. You see them as obstacles. 90% of your social interactions are transactional. Whenever you go out and about, why? Because you need something. You need to buy something. You need to consume something. You're not going out to hang out with friends or socialize. You're not going out to play games or, do a social gathering or perform a group project. Nope, because that shit, one, it doesn't pay, two, usually costs money. And not only do people not have the money, even when they do, they're gonna have like zero motivation because they're working all the time. They're gonna have zero motivation because they're too busy working to pay their bills. And so when they get home, rather than put effort into any sort of community shit, they're gonna doom scroll. They're just gonna get on their phone because it's easy and convenient. And phones are addictive. Like, that's life in America. You grow up, you get put through the education system, which sucks, get spoon-fed a very whitewashed, myopic view of history in the world. All the crucial education you really need, you're not going to get in high school. I know that for a fact. I didn't learn that America started the Cuban Missile Crisis until after I got out of high school. They love to brush little facts like that under the rug. Portray America as the good guy in all instances. When the Soviets just put their nukes in Cuba because America put their nukes in Turkey. You get told to go to college, that college is the way forward because you can get a high-paying job and a degree. You do that, now the college-paying jobs are oversaturated, and you can't get a job in your field. Again, or it's super hard to get a job in your field. And then, okay, let's say you do get a job. Let's say you do everything right. Congratulations, you're a middle-class person, making 60, 70K a year. You're living the American dream. What's your life now? Your life is get up, go to work for 40 to 50 hours, drive home, and then maybe go out for groceries, maybe go out and occasionally do a social gathering here and there, depending on how your social life is standing. But more often than not, you live, you pay your bills, you work, and you consume, you watch TV, and then you die. If you might pump out a few kids while you're at it, and then your life revolves around taking care of your kids, and then that's it. That's your life. There's nothing higher to aspire to. You are just an atomized drone that will work for 40-something years until you can work no more, and then what? Spend the last years of your life. You got used up in your prime. All your prime years have been used up. You're in your 60s or 70s. Now, all you've ever done is work. All you've ever done your entire life is work. You never did anything. Work and consume. You never did anything that actually pertains to your spiritual being or your humanity. Your life isn't filled with great memories that you had with your loved ones. Your life isn't filled with great memories of the things you've accomplished, the things you've created and done. Instead, it's just, I lived the American dream. Yay! I had a nuclear family. I had a wife and kids. I worked my entire life to support them. I worked my entire life making my boss rich. Now I get to retire at the ripe old age of 67, and I can, after spending my whole life living for nothing, I'm in my 60s now, and now I've got nothing to live for. I'm a husk. I'm a shell of my former self. So all that's left for me to do is just eventually age into a nursing home because my kids won't even take care of me and die. That is the ultimate fate of most Americans. And when you put it like that, it's pretty fucking sad. Pretty sad. He sounds like a Bernie Bros telling black people to shut up on the race issue. Oh, yeah, you are going to have baby leftists like that all the time. People who are just new to this sort of stuff, new to politics, and they're like, usually they're coming off of a right-wing background. I know this because I was kind of this mindset for a little while. You know, they still have an infantile understanding of the world, even though they think they know more and are so much smarter than they actually are. They don't realize that you know, class abolition, there's a lot more that goes into class abolition than just like the labor theory of value and like Marxist concepts. There's way more to it. I just attribute that to a lack of understanding and experience. So like, but yeah, there are other issues outside of capitalism itself. Plus, it just gets boring. Like, I can only talk about Marx and Lenin for so long until I just want to move on. You know, I want to cover other socialists. I want to cover other struggles. I want to talk about other things. You know, I'm like Pokemon. I evolve. Should we care about politics while dating? Well, I'll tell you right now that if you are a communist and you know you're single and you're dating, know that you have an edge over the average adult man. Consider it a superpower. You have a superpower over the average man in America because most men, especially white men, are conservative, right-leaning, which means they all have little respect for the bodily autonomy of women. They have less respect for women. They're going to be more insecure. They're going to be more desperate, thirsty, feeling they need to prove themselves. And these are all personality traits which are pussy repellent. Women, self-respecting women, I mean, are turned off as fuck by these traits. So, you know, if you're a communist, that means you're going to treat her with respect, you're going to see her on even footing, and you're going to be sure of yourself, and you're going to be comfortable in your own skin. And when you're comfortable in your own skin, you make them feel comfortable in their own skin. And so I'm just saying naturally you're going to have an easier time with women, in my experience. Like, being a right-winger is absolutely, especially in today's age, which is super politicized now, being a right-winger nowadays is going to make getting chicks, sex, and dating significantly harder, especially like self-respecting, independent women that are like working a job and stuff. They can smell that shit, even the ones that aren't. Women have very high emotional intelligence. They can, if you reek of insecurity, if you reek of misogyny, or reek of just like neediness, or just like, you know, lack of self-worth, they can sniff that shit out pretty easily, and they will be repulsed by you. So you got that going for you, my buddy. Congratulations. Now all you got to do, the key to having sex, guys, it's very simple. All you have to do is stick your penis in a woman's vagina. It's that simple. And that's it. There's a lot of steps that go in before that, but that's all you got to do. I'm just kidding. I'll stop. White was invented by Yakub. Whiteness is a sociological disposition, just like blackness. I mean, if we're talking like, are we talking just like the social construct, like idea of whiteness? I mean, yeah, but like whiteness as in like, I don't know, ethnicity, like skin color, it's real. Whiteness is real, just like blackness is real. Just like eye color is real. Some people have blue, green, or brown eyes. Just like being under 6 feet tall is real. It is an immutable trait. That is, you know, it's an immutable trait that's skin deep on the surface and really shouldn't matter in a world that makes sense. But unfortunately, given the historical legacy that we're living under, it unfortunately does matter a lot. People treat you differently based on these things. So yeah. Do I still smoke weed? Not really. I'm be honest, I was smoking pot for a while in my 20s, but then around age, I want to say 25, 26, I started getting really, really paranoid smoking pot, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So I just kind of gradually stopped. I'm more of a drinker nowadays. Do you think in 30 to 50 years there's going to be an apocalyptic scenario due to the effects of climate change and then USA? Yeah. I think the levels of miseration are going to climb exponentially. I think the AI bubble is going to burst, and when it does, we American workers are overwhelmingly going to feel the worst effects of it. I think you're going to see like a lot depression levels of immiseration, but and people are going to be given just barely enough lifeline to where they don't just go ape shit. I think I think genocide is coming home. I think what the Gaza project, Israel's project in Gaza, I foresee something like that coming to maybe not exactly like Gaza, but like America, where people are rounded up and crammed into like these concentration camps or like these slave labor camps, like these open air prisons where people just sort of live and do like forced labor and shit. I think America will continue to isolate. Our imperialist project's going to go out with a whimper, not a bang, as more and more countries are dependent on China and less dependent on America. Sanctions are losing their effectiveness. The longer we impose sanctions, the more countries are incentivized and compelled to find alternatives to the dollar for their international trade needs. So, Venezuela's cozying up to China, Russia, you've got other countries that are doing so. I think America is going to ultimately, turn inwards on itself, take its international fascist terror and turn it inward on itself. And it's going to turn into a kind of pseudo-isolationist regime that's just like basically 1984, more or less, where you have a permanent underclass of people constituting like 20% of the population. They're just living in these open air prisons, mostly climate refugees, by the way. That's what I foresee. I see climate refugees flooding the country, and America being unable to deal with it, or being so sociopathic and disconnected from regular humans, it can't think of anything else to do except jam them into open air prisons. Just literally just create Gaza, create little open air prisons, create little Gazas across. We got room for it. We got land for it. Y'all ever been to Iowa or Nevada? We've got fucking land. That's what I foresee in the next 20 to 30 years. The construction of open air prisons, massively expanded surveillance, and just things getting shittier and shittier. I do think America's going to collapse in my lifetime. Do I think socialism's coming afterwards? Not necessarily. But a collapse is definitely coming. There is going to most definitely going to be a collapse. What comes afterwards? I don't know. But all I can do is work tirelessly and relentlessly to make sure that there's something resembling a parallel regime capable of taking power afterwards. And focus on advancing, working class interests and fighting the machine in any way that I can. And I do this for the next 50 years and then I die. African Americans and Latinos are basically the lumpen proletariat. Women make up half the population, and queer people account for a good chunk of the population. Oh, you guys are debating. B has said multiple times that the USA as a political system isn't unique. Plenty of other countries have similar systems and have been successful. Oh, yeah, I'm aware. America isn't special. America is only special in the sense that people in this country are so much more propagandized and brain dead, and their material interests are skewed towards that of the international proletariat. Like, people genuinely don't give a fuck about foreign policy in this country anymore. They really don't. But thing is like, America, that's the thing. Americans, what the American left wants, they just want social democracy. They desperately are pining for these Nordic model social democratic reforms without even the faintest little idea of how to make said reforms come to pass in the first place. And so They funnel all their energy in the Democratic Party, and all we get are like little neoliberal scraps from time to time from the Democrats, which get easily taken away by the Republicans. It's just back and forth, back and forth. Republicans shift the Overton window for the right, Democrats block movement to the left. And this paradigm is going to keep going on and on until people get fed up and actually resist the system. It's just, we're still living in neoliberalism, that capitalist, realist, neoliberal, end of history mindset that this is honestly the best it gets. They can't do any more. There's no alternative. And this is a political tendency that needs to be opposed at all costs. When I was saying Bad Empanada is right, I was saying he was right in that guys, I just rewind the stream, rewatch the stream, but I am a first-hand witness, first-hand testimony of Americans not even wanting to put a tiny bit of risk on the line, or even do a tiny bit, just a little bit, in in the name of advancing socialism. Like me being the only person willing to go door to door and having like the party coordinator discourage people and actually kick me out for daring to suggest we go canvassing during a canvassing event. And this isn't even the DSA. This is the PSL. This is the Marxist-Leninist Party. And this was a week after we said we were going to canvass. We were planning an event to canvass and signing people up for it. We even practiced it in the fucking session. We practiced going door to door, breaking up into little groups, just for us to not fucking do that, and just instead to walk around in gangs of 10, gangs of 12, just posting signs around and about like a bunch of jackasses. Like me wanting to, because canvassing is risky. You don't know the person behind that door. For all you know, they could call the cops on you. They could pull a gun. They could flip shit. It's risky. You're rolling the dice whenever you approach someone you don't know and talk to them about this stuff. But that's what I mean. You're taking a risk. They ain't even willing to do that. That's what I mean. Bad Empanada's right. Americans aren't even willing to take a risk, even in the what should be a radical communist party. That's what I mean when I said that. We can hear you right now. Okay, good. Oh, these are old messages. Shit. What do we got? 1 second. Trump cold to get out of that hot water situation he's currently in, releasing the Epstein files with his name in it, and then proceeds to give Americans free health care. Yeah, exactly. He won't, but that just goes to show like how deprived we are in this country of just the bare necessities. All Trump would have to do to fucking... Don't you think about it, dog. Sorry, my dog is tugging again. I'm locking the leash on you, motherfucker. Anyways, exactly. I hate the system so much. Agreed. All we do is work and store. Oh, that's an old conversation. We'll advance up, see what the current chat is saying. I don't know what I can do from the suburbs. Bro, I started watching 30 minutes after it started. Yeah, there's an art server, and once I get my works, I want to publish it in a single volume. That's the goal, is to have volume 1 done. It's just so freaking hard because doing a graphic novel by yourself, especially to the quality that I'm doing it, is very time consuming. I'm almost done with the second chapter. I'm going to start storyboarding and sketching out chapter 3 here soon enough. But yeah, I do want to form an art club of some kind, like, get people together with that, try to do some sort of socialist counter-hegemony of sorts. Were you kicked out for transphobia? No, no, I wasn't. I wasn't kicked out. Well, I guess I was in a sense. I wasn't being transphobic. I didn't get kicked out for being transphobic. I got kicked out for several reasons. Just, whatever little fucking reasons they could dig up to burn me, basically. Again, I went through all this at the start of the stream, but the general gist of it is, number one, I was a little bit too pushy about actually canvassing at a canvassing event. Like nobody wanted to go door to door like they said they would. Instead, we're just handing out signs or handing out papers, pamphlets, and painting signs to the wall. And like I just I put a little bit of insistence that we go canvass to the coordinator, just a little tiny bit. And he told me, this isn't up for discussion. We're just not going to go door to door. And then I drop it. But he's like, yeah, you dropped it eventually. I'm like, I dropped it as soon as you told me to drop it, dude. What the fuck? So he gave that up. Apparently, I made someone uncomfortable. I asked a bunch of people for numbers. I exchanged my numbers with a lot of people that day. But apparently, someone got uncomfortable with me asking them for their phone number. And I guess they got weirded out by it, so they wouldn't complain to him or whatever, or whoever else. Then someone felt the need to speak on behalf of this trans girl that was there. I was talking to this trans woman. I just got to meet her, I was sitting right next to her at the meeting. Everyone's socializing, talking. And I decided to, just be friendly, open up with a friendly little jab. Be like, that outfit makes you look like a girl. Tell me, how is this comment transphobic? How is this a transphobic comment? I just said this outfit makes you look like a girl. And they're like, yeah, that's the point. And then like, hi, my name is this. And I'm like, hi, my name's that. And then we're chilling, just talking most of the day. We get along just fine. She's chill as hell. We're getting along. Someone else, completely unrelated, eavesdropped, and I guess they heard that and decided to just go snitch for no reason. Like, the trans person wasn't the one that got offended. They weren't the one that took pause with it. Someone in the room, completely unrelated, took pause and felt the need to just like go tell the party coordinator. And I'm just like, it's not a problem. She wasn't offended. And there's nothing inherently transphobic about that statement. Like not at all. If anything, that's gender reaffirming. I'm saying that outfit makes you look like a girl. You were trying to look like a girl. In other words, you are accomplishing your task of looking like a girl. If anything, it's a compliment. It's validation. That's not transphobic at all. And they still burned me for it. Oh, fucking A, dude. That it's very easy to see how that could be taken by the American left in the wrong way, dude. I'm not shallowing myself down or changing the way I express myself just so I can appeal to the lowest common denominator. And like, let's say I did that. Let's say I shallowed myself down, or I was like super major self-censoring, tone policing or whatever. Let's say I just started like self-censoring. If they were taking pause with a statement like that, if they were taking issue with a statement like that, and like the other non-problems I caused, they were going to take issue with me no matter what I was going to say or do. And it would have only been a matter of time before I overstepped my boundary. Even if I'm walking the best on my eggshells, I can only like walk on eggshells so much before I break one. Like, if they were gonna let me go for that, they were gonna let me go for literally anything else. So I'm not even concerned about it. People are way too sensitive about that sort of shit. Like, I even asked him, like, why don't we call in Shell? That's her name. Why don't we call her in and ask her how she feels? Rather than letting this other person speak on her behalf, why don't we let her speak for herself? Like, how is that fucking fair? And again, what I said wasn't even fucking transphobic to begin with. What I said was the opposite of transphobic, if anything. I don't care what anyone says. It was unintentionally Why? Because I affirmed someone's gender identity? Fuck this, dude. I just learned not to talk about sex or gender at all, or I get the language police called on me immediately. Ironically, if there's anything that destroys the American left, it's the American left. The American left destroys itself nowadays way more than the FBI could ever hope to. Like, really. Like, again, Bad Empanada was right. The FBI does not give a fuck about the DSA. They don't see them as a threat at all. I mean, I'm sure they've got, like, informants in the DSA, but like they don't give a fuck about them. Like seriously. So, anywho, I don't know, man. When you're taking care of business, you have to be cordial with others. So that means treading carefully when you speak to people you don't know. Yeah, well, it is what it is. I don't know, man. All I know is that if I was going to get kicked out over that, I was going to get kicked out over anything. They kicked me out the first time because I said I didn't think China was socialist. If that's all it took was just me disagreeing with like one thing in the party line for them to kick me out the first time. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, now I feel like an idiot bringing up the fact that I was in the PSL at one point. You know, I told some people that I got kicked out, and I just mentioned how it was over something really dumb. Retrospect, that was a mistake. PSL is paranoid towards the wrong fucking people. They're paranoid towards the wrong people, worried about the wrong irrelevant bullshit. You know, they're hyper afraid. All this tells me is they're just afraid. They're just super fucking afraid. That's all it tells me. Like if they were gonna kick me out over something as trivial as that, they were gonna kick me out over literally anything because like I'm you know, I am who I am. You know, I'm a blunt guy. I'm very direct and straightforward with people, and I just am who I am. And I refuse to like shallow core aspects of my personality and pretend to be something that I'm not just to fit in. Because again, if they were going to kick me out over that, they were eventually going to kick me out over some other stupid bullshit. Whatever. It is what it is. Who needs them anyways? Yeah, this whole live stream has just been catharsis for me, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm gonna go through some more comments real quick. You mean white transgender? My experience is that most American leftists, myself included, have mental health issues. We all have mental health issues, dude. Literally all of us do. Nobody in this country has good mental health. Like most people in America are fucking addicts. You know? I mean, we're in the nonstop profit machine where, you know, we live in an economy centered around profiting off of people's misery. And, you know, most we can do is just try to combat it in any way we can. That's the main advice I have. Just try and, like, find whatever community you can. Try to go to a college campus or find any clubs. Like, if you work for a living, or just, you know, one thing I would suggest is try talking to people. You know, try spontaneously talking to people. I go out of my way to spontaneously talk to people from time to time because, believe it or not, a lot of people are just afraid. A lot of people are just afraid. A lot of people are lonely. And I'm not like the world's most social person. I'm not social at all. Trust me. I have no social life. All I do is work for the dollar store and fucking paint all day. But I like working at the dollar store because I like socializing. I like people. I like talking to people. It just fucking sucks that like everybody is afraid of one another and hates one another and is like super suspicious of one another, I guess. I'm out one day about a year ago, not even a year ago. I got my last $5 bill. You know, I got me some food. Finally scored a job, a full-time job at the recycling plant after being unemployed for months. This is when I had my DUI and my license was suspended. And I go drive under suspension because I'm hungry and I don't have the money to DoorDash. So I go get food and I sit down and I talk to a homeless woman. She's got a black eye. I give her my last $5 bill. And I've got like easily a week before I've got income coming in again. I'm on the way home. Asshole sheriffs are sitting at the gas station. They run my license plates. They follow me back. They don't even pull me over. I'm in my own parking lot. You know, the lights aren't even on. I'm an idiot in retrospect. I should have stormed into my house and shut that fucking door. But I acknowledged them, asked them what they want, said they're stopping me because my tags are expired. They detain me because they're looking at my ID. They see my license is suspended. I fucking beg them not to do this because I need to work tomorrow. And, the cops being the humane and compassionate, understanding gentlemen they have, who are just looking out for the safety and best interests of the average American citizen, proceed to arrest me and take me to jail that night. And I get fired and lose my job. You know what they say, guys? No good deed must go unpunished. Remember that. No good deed must go unpunished. All right, guys. Well, I actually do have to kill the live stream now. My phone is like at 5% battery. It's about to die. Anywho, like I said, I'm going to get to work on something new soon. But I hope this has been fun. I got a little time left. Hold on. Trans that try to synthesize whiteness about the LGBT struggle. This is all decontextualized. I'm just reading comments. What about the levels of reaction in our society? Glad you got it off your chest. I had to quit all online politics for several months after my last encounter with the PSL. Oh, I want to hear about this. Mystery Man, you. Tell me about your experience. I want to hear this. Fuck it. I've got battery juice left. If I run into battery life, fuck it. Tell me. I got to hear about this. Tell me. Tell me about your experience. I legit want to hear about this. Tell about with the PSL. Okay, show presence. What do we? I got to hear about this. No contact with the police. Damn, bro, get in the house next time. Yeah, no kidding. Also, that's a misdemeanor. All right, I'm gonna give you 5 seconds. The dude told me that China's socialist and that the aim of the PSL was to deport all non-indigenous people from North America. What? What the fuck? That's weird. That person doesn't sound like a member of the PSL. They sound like a schizophrenic person. I don't think anyone in the PSL is in favor of that, but yeah. Is the stream sponsored by StreamYard? No. I view cops and military as just hired muscle. Well, yeah. Protect and serve is a lie. They're not here to protect and serve shit. They're here to enforce the law, meet their quotas, and fill a number of social roles and functions that they are not tooled or trained to fill whatsoever. Like, there are a lot of situations where a policeman is called when what is actually needed is a counselor or like a social worker, when there's like a person, they are called and they need a therapist. Reading about East German policing strategies versus West German policing strategies is that the contrast was very stark. I'll end with this because my phone is legit gonna fucking die here in a sec. But in East Germany, they would monitor and surveil everything they could. What the police would do is they would stop people before or amidst the crime. They would try to stop you mid-crime or before the crime, and they would like sit down and talk to you and like try to like reason with you and try to like convince you not to commit the crime. Basically, they would try to talk you down. They would try to get on your level and see reason with you. That's what they did in East Germany. No one ever talks about this. No one ever talks about like how East German police were nowhere near as heavily tooled or armored or equipped as West German police. They actually tried to get on your level and reason with you. In West Germany, they were militarized as shit. They would actively encourage people, try to egg people on into committing crime. They were pioneers of agent provocateur, so they could, have excuses to arrest protesters and shit. They were super ruthless. They didn't give a fuck about your reasoning. They didn't try to talk you out of it. They didn't try to reason with you at all. They showed zero compassion. They were basically almost as ruthless to their people and their policing methods as America is. Nah, they weren't as ruthless. America is even more ruthless, to be honest. Watching these police brutality, like these police cam videos, watching these fucking cops shoot a man dead because he's running away from the police because he's afraid, and then like getting no time for it. Body slamming 17-year-olds, suplexing elderly grandmas, arbitrarily detaining people, arresting people for the crime of like what, sitting in your car and waiting for the rain to pass before you continue your drive. Yeah, it's called The Civil Rights Attorney. That's a good channel. Civil Rights Attorney uploads every day talking about police abuses in America. But what else? It's like not 5%, it's 17% now. So it's going down at a rate of like 1% a minute. So I actually do gotta end this call. But like I said, I'm going to give you guys plenty of quality reassurances. I think that's enough. I actually am going to end it now. Let me finish these panels. Let me finish my comic book. Once I'm done with my comic book, and I promise you, I'm literally almost done with it. Like volume 2, or not volume, but chapter 2. Once I get chapter 2 done, which I'm honestly like at the most a few days out on, I'm going to turn around and make some videos because I owe it to you guys. See y'all soon, and good night. My phone's going to die. Peace.